everyone. This is Karen for Online Healing Community. Welcome to Creating Space. Today we're going to talk about developing your willpower to overcome challenging times. And we're so honored that with us is a spiritual master, a guru, a life mentor, a philanthropist. Please help me welcome Master Delpe.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Aaron,
Master Delpe, we're so honored that you're with us today. Thank you so much for being here.
Namaskar. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Master, let's start the conversation by just defining terms a little bit. What is willpower exactly?
Well, you can have a idea of willpower. Is There are two kinds: the will and the power. The will is the intentions behind any action or engagement. The power is the energy behind the intention. So, a person can have a lot of will, but when they're older, they don't have the power to manifest the will. So you can have the will to succeed. So your intentions, mental intentions or desires are high, but as they say, the spirit is high, but the flesh is tired, something like that. So there's a lot of people also with a lot of power and stamina, but they don't have the will to direct their power. So they're everywhere. So I always delineate the aspect of will and power. If you combine them, it's a force. So the will is the
Yeah.
intention, and
Intentions?
the power is the execution power with the stamina. So it has at least five levels.
Wow, interesting. I can resonate with when you're talking about people with a lot of power but no will.
Mhm.
Because before I was like all over the place. I have a lot of stamina, but but no direction really. It's when I got
Exactly.
into
Who's
spirituality that
ordered to play?
it's really when I got into spirituality, Master Dope. I got into yoga, meditation first, and then yoga. And that's the time that I was able to have that will, that focus me, and then things get better. And you're obviously someone with very strong willpower. You founded three international companies. You developed a mountain resort in the Philippines, and you're
Hmm.
mentoring business leaders, not just in the Philippines, but also in US and India and all over the world. But was there
Hmm.
ever a time when you're struggling with willpower?
I was born with a lot of energy. In fact, when I was a kid, I was an ADD or ADHD child because I have so much energy.
Me too.
So I have to use it in many ways. You have to run, you have to always cajole with people, you always have to shout, dance, anything that has to release those excess energy. But as you grow older, you would have more direction because you have more goals to focus your energy. So it's like teenagers, they're always active, dancing, singing, always out, they sleep less. The problem is they don't have the focus to direct their energy to something productive or a goal that has a certain meaning. So I was born with a lot of that, and I was also fascinated with wrestling, with martial arts, until I became an instructor in karate and martial arts, and I've seen that I'm able to dispose and dispatch a lot of my excess energy and power. But that's why some people have to go for punching and kicking just to release the excess energy, and you feel better after you sweat. So I think in my life, well, there are times in the year that you have less willpower. Like I feel usually before my birthday, and also between my birthday to birthdays. I call the 7 cycles of life chart. That before your birthday, your willpower and stamina are the lowest during the year, and also between your birthday to birthday, the middle, you also have a more chaotic disposal of willpower. So there are 2 times of the year that usually people are lower than normal and they feel like they're depressed. Sometimes they are feeling sick, but it's because the energy of the whole cycle of the whole year is lowest, which is like using your whole battery for 1 year that is given by your soul, and you are running out of battery at the end of the your birthday. So those are the things that I can feel sometimes that tends to slow you down. Or there are years that are lower. For example, if you're 48 going 49, if you're 34 going 35, or 41 going to 42, or 27 going to 20, there's 7 cycles where your energies are lowest, and so with your willpower, that's where people are usually quitting or suicidal or depressed, or there's a certain curve that they are lowest in willpower. And these are the things that I usually chart in people when they are coming to me with many complaints.
Right. I'm actually friends with some of your students, Master, and
Mhm.
one of my friends told me that it's usually 55 to 60 days before your birthday that you're at your lowest in terms of willpower. Is that about correct?
Usually, the lowest is 7 days and 5 days before your birthday, and even 1 week after. That's why most people get sick before their birthday, or even old people die before their birthday, because that's called the death cycle. It's the lowest time of the year where the curve of energy is lowest. So, naturally, if you don't have as much power and energy and stamina, even the will is strong, even you're intelligent, you cannot focus continuously. Sustainability is a problem. It's not the ability to focus, it's sustaining the focus.
Oh, I've been listening to a lot of your online talks, Master Delpe, and I heard that you help the U.S. Olympic team, the diving team, to develop
Yeah,
their will to focus.
I used to live in Houston, and it happened that the U.S. diving team lived there, and their coach is one of my neighbor. So since they know that I'm a martial arts and a spiritual instructor and meditation instructor, they asked me about how to use the Oriental way to let their teams focus. Because a lot of them are good divers, but they are not focused well. So they asked me to help them. Well, it's hard to teach a person in 3 months, and they are competing in say in 3 months. So I told them that the habits are still ingrained, that they have to listen to very chaotic music to detach their mind, not to get nervous before they dive, and it's a bad thing. And the Chinese are very focused because they do meditation and breathing before they compete. That's why they're always ready. Their instincts are high.
So, would you recommend meditation and breathing for people who have low willpower?
A lot of techniques would be to assess what part of the will is low. For example, there's the physical will, which is the physical strength, like gymnasts are strong at that. There's also stamina, which increases the willpower of the energy. There's also the emotional willpower, the strength of the emotions. And there's also the strength of the mind, the mental willpower. And there's also the strength of the soul's will. So there are at least 5 levels of willpower in normal human beings. Now, to master them, you need to identify which are these among the 5 are weakest and needs to be refeed and to be revitalized. Some people can be strong mentally, but they don't have the energy to sustain their projects because they get easily tired because they have the will but not the power. So when I encounter people with a mental will strong but emotionally weak, I usually heal a lot their emotional aura and their hearts and their solar plexus. There are chakras that you need to heal. For people with clumsiness, they have a very strong and talented mind, but they're clumsy, their bodies are frail, they have a very weak energy at the navel chakra and base, and their roots on the feet to the earth are not good. That's why they're unable to absorb ground prana, which is the one that grounds your energy to be solid. And so when I look at the chakras of people, I scan their chakras. When I look at their chakras, I know what chakras are smaller and bigger. So I know exactly where to energize them more and where to deactivate which are excess. For example, a person can be very aggressive emotionally. So the solar plexus is very active, but they are also drained a lot in the navel and base center, if they are chakras in navel base, because they're using a lot of emotions in everything they do. So they drain their emotions, and so with their vitality and stamina. So some people are drained, even they're emotionally strong, but they are tired in the evening. They can be strong in the morning, but then they exhaust a lot their emotional energy. So they overstretch their emotional energy and drain the physical and the vitality energy or their minds. Some people also use a lot of their minds. They overthink, they over worry, so they also devitalize their emotional energy or their vitality. So there are some leakages of willpower, and most people are emotionally drained because they're usually too emotional, too sentimental, too aggressive, too worried, and so on. And there's a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety that drains energy. So when I look at people, I know exactly the chakras that needs to be stimulated to balance back.
Master Gilpay, we're working with a lot of the volunteers post-election, and a lot of them are anxious because
Mm.
of the results, because they've put in a lot of efforts, and then they're not happy with the results. What would you recommend for those people who are anxious post-elections?
There are techniques which I teach us, like inner breathing, which will activate the heart, the mental will, and the spiritual will. For example, I could synchronize breathing like this. We're using this mudra. You need to use the three fingers rather than just one, because this is
Right.
activating the upper but not the ground. So you have to have three fingers. This is more advanced than the yoga mudra. So
Yeah.
when you do the three-finger mudra, you activate the power, the heart, and the mind all together. And then you focus on the heart to calm you down, the mind to increase your focus, and your spiritual energy to be more in inner serenity. And so when you focus on the heart, the mind, and the spiritual energy chakras, you align yourself and you are very detached. So when you activate the heart ashna crown, that's chakras, those chakras, you become very quiet and inner stillness. When you're still, you don't worry. Anxiety happens when your emotions, your mind are in haywire and strained. And also, a lot of people who had been working hard in their campaign, they have a lot of adrenaline fatigue. Adrenals are fatigued. That's why they are like jittery, but they have lost a lot of energy, and the adrenal has overcooked. So they have adrenaline fatigue. So I usually revise the adrenals through the back navel chakra. I usually recharge the navel chakras to get more composed, and the base chakra and the soles of the feet has to be anchored back. And so this synchronous breathing is one. Another one is the just be free meditation, where they visualize the ocean and they exhale all the anxiety, the source of frustrations, anything that they are like antagonistic, like the results of the election, or how come my candidate lost, they're cheating. So a lot of this drain of emotional turbulence can lead to a lot of drain, anxiety, strain, stress, fatigue, and even insomnia or nightmares if they're extensively severe.
Right,
So
right.
there are many techniques. Yeah.
Interestingly, Master Dolpe, Jamie will actually do a just be meditation specifically for those who have post emotional stress and
Yeah,
anxiety.
hi Jamie. Thank you for inviting us here. Yes, it's good that she is teaching. She is also a yoga instructor of Yoga Plus. Plus, also she is a certified specialist, healing specialist under our Heal Plan.
Right. What's coming up to me, Master Dolpe, when you talk about the chakras and or is alignment? Like,
Hmm.
and you also talk about the different levels of willpower. What comes to mind, like you said, you will there are some areas which are very huge in term I don't under I'm not correct, I'm correct me if I'm wrong. There are some areas that has have luck, some areas are big. So it's more of a, is it really about aligning the chakras and aligning the
Yeah,
levels, like you said?
it's very important to align and balance the chakras. But before you can balance the chakra, you should know the sizes. So if I look at the crown and it's very big, like in a lot of healers who do layover or Reiki, or their crown is very active, but the problem is the base center is weak. So if the base center is weak, you become like an inverted pyramid chakra, big crown and small base. So spiritually awakened, but financially hard up. So that's the problem of many healers that I know, and they become my patients and students. So I usually don't recommend always using this mudra, because this activates the crown but deactivates the base. You need sometimes the middle finger, because this one activates the lower chakras to balance back the crown. So if you're a healer or a spiritual practitioner or a mystic, you have to balance back your chakras. So it's like this. There are sizes of the chakras that has to be in par to each other, like from crown, forehead, ajna, throat, heart, solar, navel, spleen, base. They need
Mhm.
to be a little bit balanced in a sense of proportion. Now, if
Yes.
one of them is more active, there's a certain imbalance in the chakra. There's a imbalance in the hormone or in the gland or in the attitude or in the psychological makeup. For example,
Yes.
if you have a very big heart, but small mental willpower and small financial power, it's a very frustrating incident that you have so much love and so much ideas and so much things to do, but you don't have the money to do it, neither the will to finish it. So that's the
Right.
problem. So too much love without willpower is dangerous also, because you become the victim of others who betray you, who take you for granted, who push you aside, who make you as a doormat. But it's still okay until a certain level that you're starting to have pent up energy. So it's good to have a lot of love. It's better to have a lot of love with a lot of will and power. With sweet power and sweet will, you are more attractive because it's a formidable combination of having power, will, and love and kindness. So it's a very important combination. Now, if you have a lot of power, a lot of love, and a lot of mind and intelligence, that's even better. So it's not just the yin and the yang. It has to be the trinity of love, power, and light. So many people need to look at the chakras. Even you have big chakras, if one of them is very small and one is too big, it's still an imbalance. So it's not just the size of the chakras or how high the energy. How good is the ratio and relationship of the chakras with each other, so that your expression in life is not just about too much love but no intelligence, or too much intelligence but no conscience, or too much conscience
Mhm.
but with a lot of guilt because you don't have the power to say no. So I usually look at the people's balance and imbalance by looking at the trinity of their life. Do they have more power, or they have more love, or they have more intelligence, or there's a ratio that has to be maintained? Like the Mother Teresa would like to use a lot of love and kindness and benevolence and altruism and kindness. The problem is, if you overuse your heart and you don't have a replenishment of stamina and energy, you will also be partly sick because you empathize too much with your patient or with your subject matter of service. So you cannot be too empathic because you will get sick and you will not be able to serve in the long term. You need to be able to know how to protect yourself with more will to ward off diseases. If you are too loving and your aura is too spread out, you tend to embrace all people's suffering. So you become empathic to their sufferings, and that's a problem because you will be depleted at the end. Especially healers
Mhm.
who are very empathic, like the Mother Teresa type healers, where they're loving and sweet, and they connect too much to the patient. They heal, they feel all the problems of the patient. It's good until a certain extent, but if your energy is tired, like say you have healed 5 people in the whole day, the last patient will be really difficult for you to heal because you're already drained, you're already too contaminated by other patients because you connected so much to them. So you need to be able to detach and disconnect yourself so that you'll be able to regenerate your energy the next day. So these are things that I see in many there are 8 types of healers. There are 8 types of human beings. So some people are more detached, some are more attached, some are more fearless, some are more fearful. So when you know exactly your profile, you know your strengths, your weaknesses, your threats and opportunities, you can study who you are, and the patient's profile, or your friend's profile, or your husband's profile. You'll be able to understand the nature of communication and the nature of compassion you need for specific types. So I think the chakras should be balanced. Whether you have small chakras, at least their balance is easier. If you have big chakras but they're imbalanced, then it's still a big high-strung field of differences of your mind versus your heart. So the quarrel and squabble sometimes is internally. Your mind sometimes tell you something right, but the emotions does not do what your mind tells. Or your desire is stronger than what the mind can control. Or the emotions is so strong because of its aggressive nature, but the mind cannot discipline the emotion. So there's quarrel within. It's like a world war within oneself, and sometimes this is the problem of conflicting expression of truth and reality in people, because they don't know where to come from in terms of what is the highest intelligence you need to hone and develop to control your nature. The spiritual nature has to regulate the mind, or wisdom has to regulate intelligence. Intelligence has to also regulate emotions. Emotions in the conscious level should regulate the mind. Instincts should be used for execution and speed. So there are 5 levels of intelligence that people have to understand the balance or imbalance of their chakras and their attitudes or their aptitudes.
I love that you talk about balance. You talk about the balance of worldly pursuits like finances as well as
Mm.
spiritual. That's why you recommend this mudra. I love that you talk about balance of the love, power, and light, and balance of the
Mhm.
chakras, Master Delpe.
Yeah, we have to
Right
study that if
now,
you're a healer. If you're a healer, you should go deep into that subject matter, because that's called esoteric psychology.
Right, right. But right now, Master Delpe, you talk about there's a lot of people who are imbalanced. Like the recent SWS survey said that around 86, almost 90% of Filipinos are stressed. And also, you mentioned that during this time, the strategies that work during regular times are different. You have to have different strategies, coping strategies during
Mhm.
times of adversities, during times of uncertainties. And how does willpower play? Where does willpower come in during
I
times of
think
uncertainties?
it's one of the most important component of survival during difficult times. See, in good times, you can hope for the best and pray, and then, you know, expect the worst. But this time, the difficult times is expect the worst condition. Do not be fanatical that it will not happen. Have a certain degree of paranoia to make sure that there's food in the table and there's light and the electrical lights and utilities. Because in good times, you can borrow money from your friends because everybody has still money and your family has still money and savings. In bad times, most people have spent their money, like post-pandemic, and new pandemic had brought a lot of uncertainty and unpredictability in life. So people are unable to share their wealth anymore because they are more saving for their future and their rainy days. So willpower is so necessary because in difficult times you have more problems than solutions. In bad times there's more people who are poor and having a problem than the helpers and volunteers to help. So most people will have chaotic needs and predictability and predicaments. So in difficult times the willpower is the one sustaining you to keep on going. If you see the military training in martial arts, the willpower is the most important commodity for them to keep on going when they're tired. That's why they have to really go to a rigor of training that is so difficult that in real battle they don't have to prepare to be strong. They're already strong before they went to the battle. They can already stand not eating for 3 days to survive. They can also keep on going despite of the heat or the cold. They might have wounds, but they keep on walking and until they survive. So in difficult times, we have wounded warriors in us. We have all the wounds of life, the bereavement of somebody who died, the grief that we lost our past reality. We have so much fear and anxiety about our sustaining financial capabilities. We are losing our clients because they don't have the money to pay. So there's so much uncertainty that if your emotions is the one using it will be more scared and fearful than normal. It will be more anxious than normal. So the emotions is the one that causes you to be anxious. The emotion is the one that is scared. The emotion is the one that's angry. The emotion is the one that's frustrated. The emotion is the one that is really uncertain to make it. Now the mind can be influenced by the wrong emotions. That's why the mind can weaken when the emotions are weak. So the mind and emotions are two different segments of your consciousness. So if you're intelligent, stronger than your emotional intelligence, then you can tell your emotions, don't be scared. Let's do strategies. Let's think from here what to do next. Who can help? When? How much? So problem solving will be a rudimentary work. But if the mind is weak, the emotion is so bloated and so scared, and your mind get paralyzed to think because your mind is already scared as well. Now, if the spiritual willpower of the soul, when a person is more advanced soul, is stronger, it will also inspire the mind to think properly during difficult times. And so the spiritual willpower is the ultimate where we are able to rivet the attention to focus and keep on going despite of difficulties. So I think during difficult times, not only do we need the mind to focus and the mind to concentrate to our next steps, the spiritual inspiration from the soul has to be so strong that no matter what happens, if people die left and right to you in your life, or you lost so much, you got bankrupt, you got sick, you lost your appetite, whatever happens, your spirit will keep on going because you have a purpose to execute. You have to help people. You are the breadwinner of the family. You cannot die easily. You have many children to help. You have many people to heal. So your spiritual will has to sustain you to be able to rivet your attention to what can I do next? Despite of this difficulty, what can I do? Keep on going. So that is how you constantly focus on your aim, accompanied by execution. And that is what most people would not have in difficult times. They don't have the spiritual inspiration because they don't have a purpose to start with. They don't have the will to survive because there's nothing to survive for that's worth living. They just like, oh, just to pay the bill, pay the car rent, the amortization for the car, pay electricity, pay food, pay the credit card, pay the shopping, cart. So that is most people's desires. So if they lose that inspiration to survive because they're so sick, they're so tired, they don't have the will to survive. But if you have a spiritual will and the soul is strong, it will influence your ego and personality to keep on going because you have more meaningful things to do, that you cannot die because these are more important for others, not just yourself. Now, emotional willpower of parents also strong when they think that their children has to go to school. So they have to work so hard, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, sell and mortgage their house, sell their properties just to make sure that the ends will meet in terms of the school tuition for their children. So you say a lot of Filipino values in that aspect is good because we surely even sell our soul for our children to go to school. So I think the Filipino is so anxious this time because of the election also, uncertainties. Second, because we are a poor country that is still buying a lot of rice from China and from Thailand, and we buy a lot of oil from the Middle East, and we buy a lot of fertilizer from China and Russia, and so we have been losing our own sustainability. So subconsciously, we're losing our edge, and we're being demoted to the one of the last in ASEAN countries. So subconsciously, people also feel the need to grow and to refit and to refurbish ourselves as a nation, as a culture. So I think that anxiety should be turned into a certain creativity and zest and vitality to fight back, to fight our fears, to fight our shadows, to fight our own anxieties, so that we will be focused on what to do next instead of what can we not do. So we have to turn around the tide, that we have to focus on what we can do best, not what you cannot do and get paralyzed on not being able to do that thing, which you're not supposed to focus upon. So I think certain changes are happening in the Philippines. So I agree. There's a certain degree of anxiety that's looming around. There's so much fear of financial loss in the air. A lot of bankruptcies of small and medium enterprises that is visible because of the pandemic, and even the post-pandemic, I would say, state of anxiety. So I think we need more healers than before. We need not only drugs to repair our bodies, we need a new psychological setup for us to think, what can we do now so that we will go to the next milestone? We need to start to use our mind powerfully, and the will to do, the will to be, the will to succeed, the will to overcome our difficulties. We need that willpower. And I think that is what is the missing commodity that I see in many healers and many meditators and many leaders today, that their willpower has been devastated by more problems in the environment. So I think the Filipinos have to rise on the occasion of the need for us to bring back that power that we deserve.
And Master, you actually develop a 13-step program to develop willpower fast. We don't have a lot of time, but can you share with us like the three most important steps that people can start to do right now?
I think one of the important things is how to increase your oxygen saturation of your blood easily. So you can do the Braha Mudra. This is a mudra where you can group all the powers of your finger tools. There are reflex points that you can group like this. Okay, thumbs over, and you put it on your lap, and you do deep breathing, like inhale as deep as you can, abdominal, chest, and shoulder. That's the maximum breath, and hold it for 5 seconds without tension. And exhale all the air again until you're empty, and hold it for 5 seconds. Inhale again, abdominal, chest, and shoulder. And hold. You can do it with me for 1 minute or 2 minutes. Exhale and see the difference. And hold. Inhale deep to maximum and hold. Exhale and hold. So that's combination breathing. That's the maximum breath you can take. It saturates yourself with prana and oxygen. Oxygen molecules attach the prana injection in their body, and it goes to the blood through the lungs, and you exhale 16% of the oxygen you take. 4% is retained. That's how it goes. But the prana is more and more because of the breath retention. So that is a very important technique for you to increase your density, your brightness, and your auric particles to have more air prana in your auric field. Now that is to increase your etheric aura. The first layer of the aura is the etheric. Now this will also affect your second fire called the Kundalini Shakti, or in yoga called Kundalini fire, because when you inhale and hold, the divine light activates the yang energy. When you exhale and hold, the yin or the Kundalini Shakti activates. So the alternation of yang and yin breath, it will increase your alchemy, spirit and fire alchemy. So when you do that, not only do you have more air prana in your blood and your auric field, you have more Kundalini awakening, and it's balanced by the divine light of the soul's energy. When you do that, there's an alchemy that's happening in your system, which awakens all the latent forces and energy that is available for your level. Now, that is one of the strongest one for easy start. You can also use the mudra of meditation, left over right, the left on top, and then put it on your navel and press your navel. And then you can close your eyes and focus on the press point in the navel. And this is to increase your instinctive and stamina power. Also longevity energy. Okay, just do that. Focus on your navel and breathe deeply and rhythmically for a few minutes. Do it one more minute. Okay. When you do that for 5 minutes, you will have enough energy for a half day. So if you are easily tired because your metabolism is speedy, you're losing energy by not doing anything, even you eat a lot and you don't gain weight. It means to say you're chewing your energy so fast, your chakras are active, but they are spewing out and releasing a lot of energy unnecessarily. So you need to recharge frequently if you have high metabolism, or if you easily get tired because as you grow older, your chakras will start to get sluggish, so they're not able to throw out the toxins and not replenish when they rotate back and forth. So that is one of the most important for longevity. That's one of the secrets that a lot of masters would have, because that is the center of longevity chi or energy. Your long life is deposited more in the navel. So when I look at somebody with a long life, I see the navel very active, including super centenarians that I've healed in Ecuador and in Okinawa. I see their patterns, their navel is very active. People who are dying, their navel is depleted and almost cold. They feel cold. So that is one important for energy, stamina, and willpower and power. Now, there are many things that you can stimulate, like your base of the spine, Muladhara in yoga. That is the one that increases your physical strength, stimulates your white blood cell, red blood cell, including your financial sustainability. When I look at somebody with financial power, easy to get money, even they don't work so hard, their base chakra is active. The Muladhara is active. When people work hard but they don't make money and they have a hard time with money, their base chakra is small. So I know that the person is having a hard time financially. So without much ado, we can look at many energy centers and their psychological profile and what is missing and what is excessive. So you can balance this person by knowing what chakras to stimulate and to deactivate. So that's how we balance the chakras. But there's also chakras of the emotional and mental aura. There are 3 layers of the chakras, the 3 layers of the aura. Most people are healing only the first layer. That's why psychological and psychospiritual karma is not easy when you do not deal with the emotional and mental auras and chakras. Or there are some entities and negative demonic substance or parasitic substance that are not in the first aura. They're not in the prana level. They are in the astral or emotional or mental aura. That's why we heal a lot the astral mental in most people. The more advanced the person, the more they're affected in the astral mental level. That's why the psychospiritual diseases today are more complicated than the psychological problems 50 years ago. Why? There are more stimulation on the mental, emotional, and spiritual aura of a person that needs to be cleansed, because the karma also surface out when you are awakening your fire, your kundalini, your divine light, and your auric consciousness. So when you grow faster, the more cleansing is needed, because there are more negative karma that are burning when you are accelerating your spiritual development.
Yeah. Master Delpe, Jamie actually spoke with medical students from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, and she
Mhm.
talked about this auras and this chakras, and I was kind of a bit unsure if they will stay during the session because it's a 2 hour session and they're trained in the scientific knowledge, right? But I was so surprised that most of them, it's a lot of these things, the chakra, this
Mhm.
different bodies are new to them, but they stayed on and they're so interested with that knowledge. And Jamie saying that there's actually free healing consultation for B
Yeah,
science.
if you are really interested and serious about your improving your total health quotient, there are 5 levels of health that you need to compute to score. Most people are focusing on physical symptoms, blood tests, urine tests, and stool tests, but they might be energetically tired. So maybe there's nothing wrong with the stool test, but maybe energetically tired and easily chronically fatigued. So people do not see that in stool tests and blood tests, but they have not manifested as disease. So we do evaluate the total health quotients. How mentally healthy are you, abstractly or concretely, or how mature is your emotional health? We compute also the higher emotions and lower emotions, and how good is your vitality, and we scan the chakras. And of course you have also the medical diagnosis of physical health that we incorporate, so you total that as a total score called the total health quotient. So in our mentoring we do look at those things. So we do have a lot of offerings. A lot of our healers and specialists do offer a 20-minute evaluation and talking to you, and discover sessions which are free. So you can also try that and investigate. Now talking about the medical professions, there will be a need to reinvent healthcare, because there are a lot of incurable diseases or non-medical response today that is not easily healed through medical intervention or from surgical solutions or even normal psychology and talk therapy. Without healing the kundalini blockages, without healing the overstimulation of the glands and the endocrine glands by mantra or spiritual techniques. There must be excessive Kundalini awakening that deals with crying spells, like menopausal symptoms are not for old people but for younger people. These are very much a phenomenon and syndromes that I see in many people today, even youngsters who are over awakened and stimulated by many things, but they don't know what's happening. The doctor says, "Oh, it's just ADD, ADHD, or it's like bipolarity." But when I look at the chakras, it's not a symptom of that. But it's easy to decree bipolarity or ADHD because they don't have any template for psychospiritual diseases. The DSM-5 book of the psychologists do not have all these spiritual diseases and disorders or psychospiritual disorders that are really common today in the modern age. And I think the medical professionals should really open up their minds to investigate. See, if you are really intelligent, you should be an open-minded person that sees that even without seeing the relativity theory, people believe in relativity of Einstein, even they don't know. People believe there's an atom, but nobody. How many people really say atoms? How many people see the molecules and the quark and the all kinds of subparticles? But how can we always say it like scientifically? We say that as if it's our own experiment. How can people see that the blood is flowing at the speed of this? We have not seen the blood flowing in our blood veins and blood vessels. We declare science as a parroted intelligence, but when it comes to new things, we shy away from them because we don't know. There are so many things we don't know on earth that are true that are not discovered yet. Like before, this nanotechnology, uh, the light sensors, we can affect the light without even touching them. Eventually we can switch off the light with our minds. So even though people do not know things, we should not disbelieve it because we don't know. There are many things we don't know that are true and truth that are truth that we don't know, but they are truth, whether we like it or not. This is why I was a little bit shocked by a lot of research scientists when I was lecturing in Berlin in the Carite Hospital. These are like the top hospitals in Europe. I was invited by their research department to give a lecture on energy medicine. So when I was talking about energy that you can project without touching a person, they said, "Oh, baloney." As I said, "How can you say baloney? You can project signals through a cell phone without physical contact." Oh, that's a cell phone because that's radio. How don't you know that there are in ultra radio signals that you can project through vibrational healing that you don't have a physical contact, like telepathy? People can think what you're thinking. People can feel your feelings. You don't have a physical connection, but you have energy connection. And that's because we are in an energy. See, the energy is the same as you project the colors of healing. It's the same as the colors of the signals of the telecommunication instruments. So I think the research group are really behind, and I'm sorry to say that because a lot of doctors that I've taught are so sorry about their classmates because they're so behind the energy medicine and vibrational medicine because they don't want to learn about it. So for me, I learned what the doctors know. I learned how the psychologists know, but I learned also what they don't know, you see. So you
Yeah.
have a better perspective. The knowledge is power. So I encourage everyone who's listening, doctors, non-doctors, healers, non-healers, it is good to have an open mind because knowledge is power. And there's so many things on earth that we don't really know about our truth, but they exist. So discovering the universal laws of God or divinity is part of our divine evolution. We need to discover more, which are hidden. We call esoteric. And these are where the more advanced souls dwell in studying. The more advanced souls will always look for the hidden secrets because that is fascinating. The mediocre thinkers will always look for not common and known, and that's to me too common. So it depends on the journey, whatever you're doing. You want to have a journey that is pioneering, you go for the unknowns. You want to do follow steps and follow footsteps of others, then study what is known. So both are correct.
It's just that Master Delpe, they'll, like you said, it's more powerful if they study the invisible or the unknown.
Yeah, that's the real. See, your thoughts are real. You don't see it, but it's real. Like for example, when you're imagining an idea that has to come, like this resort. I imagine that I will have a resort and I will have many students come here from around the world, and I will be teaching them here instead of me traveling because I used to travel 100 flights a year. I was so tired. So travel twice a week, and I go to 15 hours flight, and so tiring that you're teaching with a jet lag, and you just keep on teaching. You need to teach. Now I have imagined that people will come to me instead of me going to cities. They come to me for retreats, or I have online accessibility. Like I have done it 18 years ago. That I am already doing online classes and webinars since 18 years ago. So to me, this is the new thing, and people I just discovered during pandemic that there's such thing as online classes. I have recorded 150 workshops online for a long, long time. So that's why I came back to the Philippines from the US because I don't have to be traveling anymore. They can just access my recording, and I can just facilitate them once in a while. And they come here. The more serious students come here for retreats and in-person training. And so it's really a reward to humanity that we have this technology that you don't have to travel so far just to teach. And I'm sure you enjoy that, Karen, that you have many followers around the Philippines and around the world, and you are just distributing good things, right?
Yeah, yes. I resonate with that, Master Delpen. And now we're more connected than ever. Speaking of
Yeah.
retreats, we have upcoming programs that people can go to.
Yeah, we have, in fact, an ongoing retreat to certify specialists, healing specialists on how to heal depression and anxiety as specialization from the medical to psychological, non-medical, and to the energy medicine, energy psychology. And we have also for healing through be in shape techniques, meaning to say we have specific biomechanical exercise with breathing. There are four kinds of breathing that we teach for them to teach, and there are also a healing meditation they need to teach and process their patients so that they can accelerate the healing process. So people can take that even they belong to Reiki, pranic healing, or Ayurveda. They can still take that workshop or those certification to add on into their knowledge arsenal. And one of the incoming ones that is for mentors, how to train mentors to mentor, how to train life coaches to become a balanced life strategists. That is the role of the certification. How to train people to become a balanced life strategist. We do have at least 8 principles that are included to learn on, and rules of balance that we have to teach people. like the 8 types of humanity, the 5 levels of ascending intelligence, the five areas of life to balance to be fulfilled, the trinity of success and enlightenment. We have also the 7 cycles of life, and also how to coach versus how to mentor, and how to mentor that is different from coaching. So we have many of these, and it's August 7th that we're starting. Is a lot of, some international students are coming from around the world, and we are not offering online because it's not easy to teach people on case studies, because we give them actual case studies to train them how to mentor and how to heal at the same mentor, like 50% healing and 50% mentoring. And that is a very important training, because I put many of my 40 years experience into this, and I have written 12 books, and I am using them for their study material, from very from the leadership point of view, from marketing, from sales, for branding, to online marketing, and to retreat strategies, and also to healing strategies online. And so we have many avenues by which they can earn, grow, and serve, so that it becomes a spiritual entrepreneurship. So I teach spiritual entrepreneurship in this certification, so that they will become not business entrepreneurs, because they're not just making money out of business, out of people's needs. They are really helping people grow their soul, heal their minds, sharpen their minds, and heal the emotions, and make them sure that they will find their meaningful purpose. And that is called Balanced Life Strategies. So this is August 7th. It's a 4-month regimen, but here they will stay for 2 weeks, and it's a very intricate, including how to sustain financially and how to be safe and secure during difficult times. These are added, including martial arts, self-defense, uh, arnis, stick fighting. We have also teaching how to be aware of the environment and survival. We also have many recreation, which have team building. We have hot springs here in the village premises close by. We have people who want to have shooting range experience. We have shooting range experience. So I'm training people to be really street smart, and also not only book smart but spiritual smart. To become a spiritual entrepreneur, you need to be well rounded and be able to understand the 8 types of clients and the 8 types of students.
Yeah, interesting that you have a shooting range there. I've been listening to some of your YouTube talks, and you're saying that they also need to learn to defend themselves, and you're teaching them everything. Like,
Yeah, because luckily I was also an engineer, so I have also a very tactical mind, and I've been exposed to philosophy and world culture. So I know that without survival, without being safe and secure, you cannot sustain your mission. If you want to sustain and serve humanity for a long, long time, you have to be alive. You cannot be alive if somebody just drunk or a drug addict comes and switch your life up because you did not run away, or you didn't even react, or you didn't even block a knife, or you did not put a book and defend yourself. Most people are very pious. The spiritual mystical groups are very kind, but they become victimized by even people who are not intelligent. Why? Because they do not think of the smartness, the street smartness. So I think the new disciples and the world servers should be street smart, book smart, spiritual smart, instinctive, intuitive, wise, and they are to be financially sustainable. If we can put that in the one package training, people today will love their life and would love their meaningful existence, because they are surviving not for the sake of themselves, for the sake of their mission. Bigger mission needs you to survive and be alive, and not to survive but thrive, so that you can have more money, you can have more friends, you can have more followers, or students, so that you can serve more. Something like
like
that.
like what you said earlier, if you're mission driven, purpose driven, then there's more willingness to go on and move forward. And one of your students told me that martial arts is actually good, not just for defending yourself, but also for developing willpower.
Yeah, for example, if you look at the behavior of the MMA or the martial arts and the soldiers, they have very similar training. They do a lot of squats, push up, they do a lot of jumping jacks. And these are awakening the Kundalini, which will fuel your power to sustain. Most people are very slow. They're in the Sukhasana, you're in the Padmasana, and people are like putting their feet up. So when you put your feet up, the energy of the earth is not connected. That's why you pull it up. You need to be grounded when you meditate. You need your feet to be connecting to the earth prana, to that absorb that power for the muscles, the bones, and financial energy. And I believe that people with more density can heal faster. Arthritis, fractures, muscle dystrophy, Alzheimer's. There are diseases that can be healed because you have denser prana from the earth. So air prana is not enough, and pranayama is not enough. You need to connect to the earth so that the earth energy comes to your aura, and the substance to energize people are denser and needed by the lower chakras of the patient. If you do only air prana, there are 5 kinds of prana, and air prana is just one of them. And respiratory has more air prana on the spleen. But the earth prana is needed for a lot of arthritic people, people with Parkinson's, people with muscle dystrophy, people with depression, people with anemia, people with spaciness. They need a lot of the anchoring. And I believe, I think we need to bring more tools to the people so that they will balance their life. And so I believe that every yoga instructor, meditating instructor, all kinds of instructors, life coaches, they need to have practical tools to be able to help their patients, not just think positive, be smile, be cordial. No, those are good intentions, but you need the execution to focus your intentions to be sustainable. So the willpower again is so important.
Like I think if there's a hashtag for our conversation today, it's about balance. Balance of will or intention and balance of power, which is stamina. Like you said, balance of all the levels of willpower, balance of your chakras, balance of
Yeah,
light, love, and power. So it's really
yeah,
about balance,
yeah.
Master
The
Delte.
problem is
It's
how to score, how to identify which is imbalance. If you don't see, you have to score it, right? 0 to 5, for example.
yes.
Like I will score Mother Teresa as like maybe 4 out of 5 for love, intelligence maybe 3 out of 5, but power maybe lower 2 out of 5. If I were scoring Moses, his willpower is like 4.5 maybe out of 5. The love for God is probably 3 out of 5. Intelligence probably is 3 out of 5. So you see that character is driven to lead despite of difficulties. So in these difficult times, to lead a family, you need to be the strongest part of the family who is still calm despite of agony and defeat of the spirit of most people. If you are not the leader, then you don't have to do the will to lead. But if you're the leader, the will is the last thing that you need to make it stay, because that is the one that can make you stay to keep on going. If your love is strong but the will is not strong, you will quit immediately because you are sensitive to feel the agony. If you're intelligent and talented but you don't have the will, you have talents but not deployed and sustainable. So I know a lot of talented people that are not successful because they lack the will to do, the will to execute, the will to continue, the will to finish what they start. So talent is not enough, love is not enough, power is not enough also to be happy. You need the trinity of divinity to manifest uh, more than just the law of attraction. You need to balance the three to manifest a little bit more impeccability and I would say more formidable power to do it.
It's understood. Very, very clear, Master Delte. And our time with you is almost up. So, parting words for everybody listening and will be listening in the future, Master?
I think it's good to develop your individual power and love and light, but there's no value replacement to be not to be in a group. You have to have group life. Your group life will balance you more than just yourself. Balance yourself, because there are many personalities and differences that will test you to become stronger and wiser. If you don't have a test, you don't have an exam, you don't have a promotion, you don't have an evolution. So the group will always be your sounding board of what is right and wrong. You might not like everybody, but there's somebody who will probably give you some poking and hammering for you to wake up in your own ego or your own limitations. So without group life, without a group project, there's no group service that is bigger than your individual contribution to society. It's not enough. So for you to evolve faster, may I submit the idea that you have to find your best groups or the group that you really like that can hone and develop your facets that are missing, because there are people there that are masters of those facets that you don't have, and they supplement what you don't have, and you learn from them through osmosis. And whatever strength you have, you share to others who are weak in that strength. So you are in a group activity that brings group productivity, group service, group life, group willpower also. When you're attacked, by somebody nasty like a black magician or sorcerer or a bad spell, your attack will come to you, but the group will diffuse it altogether, not just you. So it's really a good benefit to find your group mates that are really as advanced as you are or more advanced. So you will be, I would say, flying with, I would say, power, love, and light, not from your own ends only, but for the group service, which will give you, I will say, the group initiation that you really like in this life, that evolution you want to deserve at the end of your life is through the group. Without a group, there's no also a spiritual leader or a spiritual mentor. When there's a group, there's a spiritual mentor because the mentor is the one that groups. So you will find your own spiritual teacher, spiritual master, spiritual mentor, and life mentor because the group invokes that. When the students are ready, the teacher appears, right?
Yes.
It's not that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. No. When the group is ready, the teacher usually appear. That is a correction from the old adage. That when the student is ready, the teacher appears. That's correct. But what is right is when the group is ready, the master appears and teaches.
Interesting that you appeared now, Master Delpe. I guess the community is ready to meet you.
I hope so. Anyway, I like to award today your students one recorded meditation for alignment and balance available in my website. You pick the winner by your own choice, and one book, anything that is inner power,
Wow.
third eye, can be how to balance your life, and
Okay, so we'll have a spontaneous contest for everybody watching now and watching in the future. I'll give it 24 hours. Whoever can tell us what's their learning, what's their takeaway from this conversation with Master Delpe, and we'll award one winner. You get the free book and the free meditation program. So
yeah,
please type
two
away.
winners. One, the best will have a book. They can get from online, and we will give you the code. And also, you can
Okay.
go to our website and read what books you want because I have an array of books from different subject matter. And you have one meditation recording that is how to balance your energy.
There we have a contest, everyone. So two winners. Tell us what's your takeaway from this conversation. You can tell us right now, and we can pick a winner right now, or you can tell us. It will give you 24 hours. What's your takeaway from this conversation? There will be two winners, one book, and one meditation program. And thank you, Master, for showing up. I guess the community is ready, like you said. But I really believe.
I'm very glad that you are conversing with me because I like your energy flowing. So it's easy for me to talk about things that even esoteric, but I'm putting it in the layman's term. So thank you for being such a good facilitator and a good commentator. And I think your success is already there. So I don't have to wish you more power because you're already successful. So I wish you the best of life ahead and your listeners.
I received the blessing, Master. So honored for the blessing. Really, really, thank you. Thank you so much. So
Blessings,
that's
everyone.
always. Thank you so much, Master Delpe. And again, if you want to connect with Master Delpe, that's the website, masterdelpe.com. They have a mountain resort in the Philippines, and they're going to have a program this August. It's a 3-4 month program, and you can enroll there. All the links are in the comment section below. So that's all the time we have for today. Thank you again, Master Delpe, for being with us tonight.
Salamat. Thank you.
Salamat. See you all, everyone. Bye for now. Bye.